What is up guys, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're going to be doing Tindangles. This is a really different build that I've had from the previous two builds I guess, and this one is just really fast, really consistent, and yeah, I definitely really like this build. This is probably the best build I've had for Tindangles so far, so without further ado, let's get started. To begin, we're going to be playing 3 copies here of Tindangle Angel. Angel is still, again, one of the key cards of the deck. She's going to remain as a staple for as long as she's around. We're also going to be playing 2 copies of Hound. I don't think we need any more than that, but he does act as that good so-called big brother of the deck. Next, we're also playing another staple, 3 copies of Trinity. Obviously, Trinity is going to search out your base Gardener when it's flipped, but it's also one of those cards that's really difficult to deal with as well. And of course, we're playing 2 copies here of Intruder. Intruder is just another great card as well. It's one of the searches, and being there on its own, it's also quite a decent card as well at 2. Of course, we can't forget about 3 copies here of base Gardener, still one of our key cards to go into our plays, really easy to summon, and obviously we just can't decrease any copies of it. We're also playing here 1 copy of Protector. Again, it's not really surprising for you guys because this card is just not sufficient enough to be playing at multiple copies there. However, a new addition to the deck I'm adding is 2 copies of Nibiru. Great way to actually just disrupt your opponent's plays, and for good measure as well, because this is a Tindangle deck. It's a flip deck, which means that you're going to be making really slow plays. You want to slow down your opponent as much as possible, and having a card like Nibiru definitely really helps. Of course, we can't forget about Tarot Tray as well, so 2 copies of her. And of course, we are also playing 2 copies here of World Armor. World Armor, again, acts similarly to Nibiru in the sense that we could actually just bounce back our opponent's extra deck or extra monster zone monsters, and because of that, it's another disruptor that will slow down the opponent to help accommodate this particular deck, which is a flip deck. On to spells, let's just get this one out of the way. We're playing 3 copies here of Chaos Space. So Chaos Space, absolutely amazing card. Essentially, you could send 1 light or dark monster from your hand to the graveyard and add 1 light or dark monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand with a level from 4 to 8 and with a different attribute from that monster. So what you could essentially do is you could discard one of your Tindangles, which they are all darks of course, and keep in mind we want more Tindangles to be in the grave anyway, so it just works out for us. And we could obviously search for the opposite attribute that cannot be normal summoned or set from the So in this case, we have here obviously, well, Nibiru can be, but we actually have Tarot Tray, which kind of accelerates her out onto the field without us having to go for anything else. So yeah, I just think that it's definitely really nice to add consistency to our Prediction Princess plays, and yeah, this has been helping out quite well. Of course, 3 might seem like overkill for you guys, but I am increasing the consistency by a lot. Now of course, we're still playing 2 copies here of Stairs of Mail, and we're still playing 2 copies here of Nagel's Protection. Definitely still really amazing cards here. However, I don't want to fill the deck out with 3 copies because they do actually end up as bricks. So for the time being, having 2 copies of each is definitely nice, and it's really rare that your opponent will actually target these cards for destruction. Now, of course, to further add on to the consistency of this deck, I added on 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. Now in the past, the reason why I never added Allure of Darkness to my deck was because I didn't want to banish my monsters as well. However, what I found out was that honestly, it's worth the risk if it means you're actually drawing into the cards you need. And surprisingly, this deck does become a bit faster as well. So that's the 2 things I want you guys to actually take away from this particular deck here, is that it is more consistent and it is much faster than it once was as well. So that is definitely a bonus. And mind you, I've already optimized the deck into an efficient manner, so you also don't have to worry about that as well. Of course, we're still playing 2 copies here of Prediction Ritual. However, we're only playing 1 copy of Pre-Prep simply because it's already so easy to just search for our cards. There's really no need for this, but again, it's that extra added consistency to actually get to our field spell as well. So I think that's ultimately really nice to have this whole set of cards here. Think of it like the 2 field spells and the 1 terraforming. It acts in that similar fashion. And finally, for the 1-ofs, we have 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Mind Control, 1 copy of Caught by the Grave, and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This was a card that I totally neglected for a long time, but it works really well in a Tindangle deck simply because you just want to get more fodder to the graveyard anyway. And these cards are kind of self-explanatory on its own. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the spells. Let's move on to the traps. For the traps, we're really just playing 4 cards, so we're playing 2 copies here of Delaunay, still really amazing of course, Gorgon's End, and we're playing the World Legacy Pawns, because Pawns is still a really great card to accelerate the deck as well, and all your flip effects, shenanigans and all. Alright, so onto the extra deck, we're playing 3 copies of Acute Cerberus of course. Feel free to decrease it to 2 so that you could add space for something else. However, generally 2 copies of it kind of makes sense here, and it's also one of the key cards of the deck as well. For your main plays at least, to go into your boss monsters for an attack. For Link 4s, we're playing the Unchained Abomination, we're playing Griffin, we're playing Yugioh, we're playing Crusadia, Avramax, and we're also playing the Borreload Dragon. I think it's a bit overkill to play 5 different Link 4s, but honestly I have no regrets about this. It doesn't really bother me anyway because the extra deck is not the strongest point of the deck anyway. You could easily just put in Pot of Extravagance and you'll still be fine. For Link 3s, we're playing the Gaia Saber and the Deco Talker, still just really amazing cards that I like to add to the deck. And finally for Link 2s, we're playing the Master King Archfiend, we're playing Nightmare Phoenix and Cerberus for great utility, Underclock Taker, just nice, similar effect to Hound, and finally we have here Akashic Magician, also another bounce, so extra utility as well. But yeah, that's ultimately it for the extra deck itself. It is quite nice. It is mostly a combination of good boss monsters that we can go into, both Link 3s and Link 4s. We have our main boss monster, Tindangle, Acute Cerberus, and then for the Link 2s, they're mostly just cards that would add to building up onto your Link 4s, or perhaps they just act as utility for the deck itself as well. So it's definitely a really nice call for the deck that I believe has made a major improvement, so hopefully this actually works out for you guys as well. Definitely give it a go. I don't really think I need to show a test hand video because I think that my previous test hand videos is already enough for this, so I'm just gonna have an annotation for it just right up here, so just click that and you'll be linked to the test hand video for you to actually get the gist of the whole deck. But that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, then leave it a thumbs up and also share it with anyone who might actually be interested. Don't forget to subscribe if you still haven't, and with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.